Happy Monday, everyone. It's Sophie.
And Adi.
We're always looking for new ways to support you, and we know firsthand how life can get in the way.
So we've created 5-minute episodes with motivation from us and our great friends to keep you feeling ignited and inspired no matter what life throws at you.
Welcome to the Ignited Motivation Podcast. Mini episodes every Monday.
Listen while you brush your teeth.
Or on your morning walk.
And you'll never miss out on the latest tips and tricks that are keeping us feeling motivated. What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. This is Dr. Adi coming to you today on the heels of Dry January with a little bit of insight that I hope will help those of you who may have found that it didn't exactly work the way you wanted it to. And it's all good. Now, if you did Dry January and you hit it out the park, 31 straight days of abstinence, I want to applaud you, and I hope you will applaud yourself. Maybe pat yourself on the back, or if there's somebody close by to you, just ask them right now if they can just pat you on the back so you feel good about what you did, because that is a wonderful achievement. Now, for some of the rest of you, if you tried and it didn't quite work the way you wanted it to, you may be feeling badly about yourself. And I want to give you some of the shift in perspective that we do a lot in the Ignited Hero program. So you might need a piece of paper for this or something to write down. So if you need to kind of just pause this for a moment and come back to me, that's all good. You can do that right now. Now, once you've got this piece of paper, I want you to think to yourself about the way that we typically in the addiction industry, in the America for sure, measure recovery. And we do it by consecutive days abstinent. So I want you to take the entire last month and write down what the longest number of days, the longest stretch of complete abstinence that you had during the month. If it's 5 days, if it's 7 days, if it's 14, 25, I don't care what the number is, put that down. That is where we're starting. That is your baseline measure of how your abstinence experiment in Dry January went. Now, I want you to add another line. In the next line, you're going to take the total days of abstinence that you had during January, and you're going to divide that by 31. So let's say the longest consecutive that you had was 10 days, but you had a couple of periods of like 4 or 5 days around that, so you had 20 total days. In the first line, you wrote down 10 was the most consecutive, but now you're going to write down, for instance, 20 days, which is the overall amount of sobriety that you had during the month. Then in the third line, what I want you to do is I want you to write down how many actual drinks you had. Now we gotta figure out what a drink is. So a drink is, for instance, a 12-ounce beer, a 4 to 5 ounce glass of wine, or a 1.5 ounce hard liquor shot, which you may have had as mixed drinks or something like that. So now the number of drinks you had. That may take you a little minute to calculate, so you may want to pause this and calculate that out. So now you got line 1, consecutive days abstinent, line 2, total days abstinent, line 3, number of drinks. Now you're going to divide each one of those numbers by something. So the first line, 10 days, you're going to divide by total days in January, that's 31. You're going to divide the second line by the same number, 31. And in the third line, this might require a little bit of calculation. I want you to figure out how many numbers of drinks would you normally have in a regular month. Sometimes it helps to just do it in a week. So how many days do you drink in a week? Let's say you drank 5 days a week normally and you had 2 drinks on each one of those. That would be 10 drinks. And 4 weeks, you would end up having like 40 drinks in a month. So whatever number you figure out, that would be the denominator for that third. And now each one of those, I want you to actually write out the fraction, and it's going to be like a percentage. So what you're going to end up seeing is that you will get a completely different number in line 1, 2, and 3. And this is what I mean when I challenge people on measuring recovery only based on consecutive days absent. Because a lot of you, maybe not all of you, but a lot of you just made a realization that you thought you failed terribly in Dry January because you were measuring based on the first line alone. But even when you looked at the second line, you did much better than you thought. Maybe you had a couple of drinking days and you got back on the horse. Maybe you didn't make it all the way to the end, but you made it through 25 days and then you gave up because you did something called the abstinence violation syndrome, which meant that once you drank once, you're like, well, screw it. Fuck Dry January. I failed at it. And you didn't put any effort towards it. But some of you may have just picked it back up. And then the third line, a lot of you will actually notice that you did amazingly well by the time you look at the second or the third line, because even if you drank a little bit less than you normally did. Sometimes people will have 20, 30% success in line 1, 50, 60, 80% success in line 2, and sometimes as high as 90, 95% success in line 3. And I want you to understand that your recovery is not only measured by line 1. It never should have been. It's a complete mistake to do it that way. And if you're going to measure your success by abstinence, we've talked about other ways to measure it as well, but if you're going to measure it by abstinence, you at least have to incorporate all three of these conceptualizations. Now, if this helped you or changed the way you see your dry January, do me a favor. First of all, subscribe so you can hear more of these in the future. Secondly, screenshot this right now. Either send it to me in a DM, tag it in Instagram, or send it to us on Twitter, or shoot us an email at info@ignited.com and let me know, because this is so crucially important. So many people feel like they fail at their attempts in recovery where they've actually done really, really well, and the only difference is the perspective they have on it. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this week starts off great for you. See you next week. You just listened to the Ignited Motivation Podcast.
Did you love the mini dose of motivation? Please let us know. Your feedback and experience is our #1 motivator. Leave us a review, subscribe, and share with your favorite people on your favorite apps. And don't forget to catch the next episode every Monday.
Because we want to hear from you. So join the conversation and discover bonus content on our website and Instagram. You can find the links in the show notes. Now that you're ignited, what are you motivated to take on?